Afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the November 18th meeting of the Murfreesboro Historic Zoning Commission. Seeing that we have a quorum, I'm going to call the meeting to order. Amelia, do we have anybody registered for public comments?
No, sir, we do not.
Everybody have a chance to review the minutes of the August 19th meeting? Any changes? Everything look okay? If so, I'll ask for a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
Mike makes a motion.
Second.
Ashley, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Backlund?
Aye.
Ms. Bolden?
Aye.
Ms. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Busey?
Aye.
Ms. Graham?
Aye.
Mr. Panesi?
Aye.
Chair Davis?
Aye. Okay, moving on. You got it, Ashley? Moving on, new business. Amelia, would you introduce our applicant, please?
Yes, sir. The applicant that we have today is for 746 East Main Street. It's Jonathan Harmon's home. He's requesting review for exterior window and siding replacements at an existing single-family residence. The property is located along the south side of East Main Street between Hancock Street and South Bilbro Avenue. The subject property contains approximately 0.54 acres and is developed with a single-family dwelling. The property is zoned RS-15, single-family residential, with the local HI, which is the historic, as well as the CCO. The colonial-style revival home was constructed approximately 1930. At the October 2024 meeting, the HCZ conditionally approved a request by Jonathan Harmon to raise the rear roof for an interior attic expansion and to replace existing vinyl on the left and right end gables with hardy board and refurbish existing attics on those windows on those ends. Refurbish the attic windows and the wood around those windows to match the existing soffits and dormer, which is on the front trim. So that since this approval, the owner has changed contractors, and they have a couple of other items that they would like to bring before you all to consider on changes on these. The applicant now is Mr. Mike Chevis with the Chevis Construct Group, LLC, representing the owner, Mr. Jonathan Harmon. They are requesting review for windows and siding replacements. They're still going to do the hardy on the ends. Then nothing from the prior has been changed except what I'll tell you today what's changed, okay? They're going to replace the wooden dormers on the front, on the siding, with 7-inch James Hardy lap siding. They're going to replace the existing dormers. Let me get a photo of the house for you. There we go. They're going to replace the existing wood dormer trims with red granite wood. They're going to replace the arched front and side dormer wood windows with true divided light sashes with Pella Reserve wood windows with simulated divided light sashes to match existing windows. That is the curved window at the top of the dormer. What they are requesting is for the end on the east and the west side to change from restoring those windows to replacing those windows with windows from Window World, which would be vinyl frames with fixed glass, simulated divided lights arranged to match the existing windows. Along with the change on the ones on the east and the west side, they are also requesting that these windows be allowed to be put on the front of the house. We have sometimes allowed the vinyl windows on sides, which aren't as visible when there's a large restoration taking place on an older home, but generally on the fronts of the homes, it has always been wood windows. That is for discussion for the board to decide what direction y'all want to go. And photographs of the home as it exists today, as well as the product information, was included in your agenda, and the applicant is available, Mr. Chevis, if you have any questions for him.
Mike, you want to step up? Tell us who you are.
I'm Mike Chavis with the Chavis Construct and representing Jonathan Harmon for 746 East Main.
So I think we'll take them one at a time. Does that suit the commission?
Certainly.
Discussion on the dormers with that 7-inch hardy lap. Any questions?
What's currently on the dormers is hardy, but it's not in great shape. Or I say hardy, it's a cementitious fiber board, which is what hardy board
Previous
is.
generation, I guess, then.
Yes.
How old do you think they are, Mike?
Sir,
How old do you think that siding is?
probably 30 years, I'd say, just guessing.
So that was right, probably the first fiber.
First or second generation of the cementitious fiber board.
I have a question. When you talk about Hardy Board, that's a brand name, I'm assuming, is that
It is
correct?
the brand name,
It's a
yes.
brand name, but there's other brands that make
There
the
are,
same
there are
product.
other brands, but I've used other brands, and the Hardy lasts the longest.
Mm-hmm.
It keeps paint on better. Of course, it depends on the paint too, but yeah, we did a house on East Main a while, maybe 15 years ago, even longer, where we did use a different cementitious fiber board, and we've since had to replace. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Spacing's still the same, 7 inches, that would, it's current?
Yes, that's what's current, and that's what we would go back with. And as far as the rebuilding, most of the dormer structure is in pretty decent shape. The reason I'm here today, number one, is for the windows, but we thought we were going to have to remove the entire left portion of the front of the roof in order to do our structural remediation. But we found a way to do the structural part without having to remove the roof and the dormer.
Good.
Do you have any idea what was on the dormers before the Hardy?
I don't.
Probably wood.
Probably a poplar lap siding is
And-
what I would guess.
And would have been 7-inch, do you think, or historically, do
It
we have any idea?
Probably would have been a little bit smaller
Smaller
than
than
that.
that?
Yes.
And this,
Finish.
oh, go ahead.
Excuse me.
I was just say the National Register nomination was dated, Amelia, do you have any idea when that was all listed? Probably in the 70s or 80s, late 70s,
Yeah, the
early 80s?
district, you mean?
Yeah, the-
I think it was yeah, 70s or 80s, probably 80s.
Right around that time, yeah?
Yep.
Okay. Which at that time, so the nomination might include the information about the material, but they weren't so well
It
done
wasn't
back
that
then.
detailed.
Yeah, they weren't that well done, so it's not really, may not be possible to know unless there's old photographs or something like that.
Well, and even then, you would only be able to tell whether it was wood or not.
Right.
Not exactly the
Right.
species, yeah.
It sounds reasonable if that's what's there now, and it's a good product to use.
It
So,
is a good product, yes. I'm very happy with the Hardy that we've installed, and especially the stuff that we've installed along East Main.
okay. I'm pleased to hear you don't have to rebuild the structure of the dormer itself, so
Me
it's
too.
really, yeah, I'm sure.
Those barrel top dormers are not fun to shape, yeah.
No, and they're important to this house, yes.
Okay, any further discussion on item 1? So, I'll look for a motion that we allow the replacing the existing wood dormers with a 7-inch hardy plank.
I'll make a motion.
Have a motion,
I'll second it.
second. Ashley, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Backlund?
Aye.
Ms. Bolden?
Aye.
Ms. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Busey?
Aye.
Ms. Graham?
Aye.
Mr. Panesi?
Aye.
Chair Davis?
Aye.
Just a point, I think the existing is Hardy as well. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's not replacing wood, but replacing Hardy. Or cementitious fiberboard with cementitious fiberboard.
Then the agenda needs to be amended. It says replace existing wood dormers.
Okay.
I guess I mean, splitting hairs. Okay. Let's move to item 2, replace existing wood dormer trim with the red Grandis wood.
Yes, sir, Red Grandis.
This was what I was looking forward to. Tell us about that wood.
So Red Grandis is a very straight-grained wood. It's part of the eucalyptus family. It holds up very well in wooden architectural elements on the outside. We have replaced 2 full balusters on East Main, also with the Red Grandis material, and that was done maybe 4 years ago, and it holds paint well. It's what was there before was mahogany, and we replaced the mahogany with the Red Grandis, and it has performed very well. It stays straight, it doesn't move a lot, so you don't end up with cracks and stuff like that at caulk joints. And this is, by the way, this is not finger jointed. It is solid material, solid Red Grandis.
Can you show us that picture again, please?
Is there a track record for this wood the way there is for the Hardy wood product? Like, do you have, like, have you seen it as it has aged over 30, 40 years?
I haven't seen it, I haven't used it for 30 or 40 years. I've used it in the past 15
Okay.
years, and we prefer to use the Red Grandis on trim for siding houses because the Hardy siding, I don't know if y'all have ever messed with that, or the Hardy trim is just a bear to work with, and it'll crack if you look at it wrong. I have used mahogany as an exterior trim for wood siding houses, but the longevity of it that I've seen so far holds up better than even mahogany on the outside. So I can just speak to my experience with it. And the lack of callbacks I get when we use that product.
Is the trim currently in really deteriorated shape, and will you be replicating it to match?
Yes, to both. Yes, the
Okay.
current trim is deteriorating, so much so that we wouldn't be able to use it, but we will be replicating the same profiles.
Okay.
So it looks the same roughly once it's up and installed and painted.
That is our goal, 100%, yes.
Okay, any further discussion?
I look forward to knowing more about your wood. That'll be great. I move that we approve the replacement of the existing wood dormer trim with the use of the Red Grandis wood as proposed.
Took the words right out of my mouth. Very good. So I have a second?
Second.
Ashley, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Backlund?
Aye.
Ms. Bolden?
Aye.
Ms. Brown?
Yeah, aye.
Mr. Busey?
Aye.
Ms. Graham?
Aye.
Mr. Panesi?
Aye.
Chair Davis?
Aye. Item 3, replacement of the arch front side dormer wood windows with true divided light shares with Pella Reserve. Wood windows, simulated divided light sashes to match the existing windows. That's Pella's top of the line, right, Mike?
That is their flagship product from Pella. It is wood inside, wood outside, simulated divided light. I can't think of a better product to replace and replicate the look that's there, is the Pella round top windows, yes.
Very good. Discussion?
What's the condition of the current windows?
So they're single individual panes.
Right.
And the muntins in between are deteriorated in such a way that we wouldn't be able to restore those. The frame itself is not in horrible shape, but it would take quite a bit to restore those windows.
And are the muntins going to be the exact same size in the replacement windows?
Yes. Yep, but they won't be true muntins. They will just simulate that divided light.
As in the sense of it's applied to the face of the glass, not in between the glass?
They're all, yes, these
Okay.
are not GBG or grills between the glass.
Okay.
These are applied to the face, yes.
Are single pane windows like that available even commercially?
In wood,
Yes.
I can't say no, but it would be difficult to find someone who would sell me a single pane window and have any sort of warranty or guarantee with it.
Are the muntins completely deteriorated, or are they just the difficulty and the time and expense to replace them or
It's the-
rebuild them the problem?
It's mostly the time, it doesn't make sense to spend the time to repair the existing ones.
We're
And
gonna
also
discuss
to
all of it.
re-glaze those, because those are all individual lights.
But right now, we're just talking about the half round.
Right, that's correct.
Yes.
Item 3. Okay, any more?
And these are the windows on this side, on each side,
No, the front dormer.
and the front. Oh,
The
Front,
dormer.
yeah.
But
This would be the front half moon on the top of the dormers only.
Okay.
But these windows are also on the gable ends as
Yes.
well.
Yes.
Are we talking
They
about
are.
those right now too?
They are.
Okay.
So we're only talking about the half-round windows on all 4 windows, each gable end and 2 in the front?
That
That's
is,
my understanding.
that's
Is that
correct.
Yes.
And are all of them in similar condition where they cannot be restored?
There might be one that we could restore.
They just
that
look
would
so
be
different when you
reasonable.
get the individual panes of glass that reflect, you know, individually each glass as opposed to having a simulated, if there's absolutely, they can't be replaced. I've done some replacement and I've also done a lot of restoration, so I would want to make sure if we had the opportunity to restore it, that would be optimal, because it does look differently.
I tend to agree with that thinking. The difficulty is finding the glass that
The wavy.
looks like the old glass. I have found it is crazy expensive to get that old glass.
But it's possible.
It is possible.
Amelia, how do the guidelines address this? Do you know off the top of your head? I haven't looked at them.
I have it in front of me right now.
Okay.
It just says the original type, size, and shape of windows should be maintained. The original number and arrangement of panes should be maintained. The size width of muntins should be maintained, et cetera.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, they're currently 7/8 on the Muntins, and the Pella windows that we're proposing are also 7/8 of an inch. And almost the exact same profile.
Would it be more troublesome if they were on a lower window instead of the top floor? You won't see them as much.
True.
About the guidelines distinguish.
But you're right, practically.
To some degree, though, it's all,
A bit of the legal issues here. The guidelines, you're right, do not distinguish between the distance from the street, but it should be noted that the guidelines are, they're not quite to the point of legislation, so they are just guidelines, and the
Right.
commission can deviate from them where it deems necessary.
I think the question becomes then, at the point at which we review the nomination and update the nomination, if changes are made, will that then remove it from eligibility for the National Register listing?
And to me, they're related to the top sash, which is divided lights. I mean, you're really talking about two components, but it's one. It reads as one element. I mean, the dormer is really not a secondary element to the facade, because you have the beautiful porch, you know, with the half-round roof. And this picks that up and echoes it. And those three things really define, to me, the facade of this building, as well as the divided lights on the front facade that are in the regular windows. So I think it's a related concern to say, what are we doing with the half-round? What are we approving? What are we looking at? What has been considered? And granted, there's a lot of things to consider. And then what is going to happen with the others? Because it would not want to be, in my opinion, and maybe next to the next agenda point, but I wouldn't want to simulate it on the front. So I'd like to see it all restored, but I just don't know the practicality of that. But I think it's a question that merits review. It's important to that house.
Is that a question for me?
Well, I'm really talking to my peers here, I guess, but a question
Gotcha.
to you. I think you've certainly addressed it, and it's restoring an old house is a major undertaking, and it's a labor of love as well as time and expense. And I don't know all of the local availability of resources, not being initially from here, in terms of getting the old glass, getting someone who's skilled in redoing windows. Have done that in other places, so I'm familiar with it and I know it can be done. And this building seems to have defining characteristics that basically otherwise it's a plain facade. So it's the windows and it's the half rounds of both. The dormer, even though it's higher, they really are prominent. Those two elements plus the porch, to me, are the primary characteristics of the structure. So I'd like to see them maintained, and I presume they're maintaining the windows on the first and second floor that have divided lights, because it's beautiful with the reflecting individual panes. But I know it's a lot of work both to restore them and then also work to continue them in their prime condition. So it's more of a statement of principle, or how I look at it and say, what are the possibilities? Is it a question of time or cost or no one available to do the work? That sort of things. Even though it's up on the top, it's still very visible just because the element is not just a standard dormer. It's a very much a prominent design characteristic.
We must be practical.
I know, yeah.
So I will ask for,
I'm sorry, Chair, I have one more thing to contribute, if you would. I should note that our guidelines are based and specifically reference the Secretary of the Interior's guidelines, and they do very closely track those guidelines. I will note that the Secretary of the Interior guidelines for the standards for rehabilitation, which is what ours are predominantly based off of, they discuss different aspects of the house and whether certain approaches are either recommended or not recommended. And they do actually discuss the distance from the ground as far as windows. Specifically, it says it's not recommended to use window grids rather than true divided lights on windows in low-rise buildings or on lower floors of high-rise buildings. Now here it's not high-rise, but it does at least acknowledge that the distance from the street could be a factor that the commission could consider.
very good. Thank you, John. So do I have a motion?
I move that we allow for single pane, whatever the change was. I'm sorry, am I supposed to do
That's
this a
not-
different way?
Your motion could be that you move to approve item number 3, for example,
Okay, I forgot what number the item was. I moved to approve item number 3.
That's very good. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Ashley, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Backlund?
Aye.
Ms. Golden?
Aye.
Ms. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Busey?
Aye.
Ms. Graham?
Aye.
Mr. Panesi?
Aye.
Chair Davis?
Aye. Motion's approved. Number 4, the lower rectangular window units on the front gables and the side windows with Window World windows. They would be vinyl frames with fixed glass and simulated divided lights arranged to match the existing windows. Discussion.
What are they now?
So the lower windows now are wood. They are individual panes.
It's a 12 over 1, am I right? 12 grid over 1,
Yes.
so
Say again which windows we're talking about?
we're talking about on the dormers.
side?
The side's
Oh.
fine.
Yeah, it's the
that's
rectangular.
not 12.
Yeah, it's the rectangular ones that sit directly below the half-round windows.
Okay, that's 10 over 1 then.
So
It's 10.
it appears similar to a Palladian window, but it's not a true Palladian window.
Just to confirm, we're talking about the ones on the dormers and on the sides here,
That is
The gable
correct.
dormers.
the
too, right?
gables and the sides. Okay.
Yeah, the 2 upper dormers and then the 2 on the upper gable ends on the east and west sides.
Amelia, those gable dormers are visible from the right of way?
Sir,
Yeah.
Yeah,
get my pictures to work right.
the one on the east is.
The final picture that I took of the front of the house, just this past week, that's from the road. But, I mean, you know, of course, I scroll in somewhat, but it is visible.
Have we considered the wood? The
We
ones-
have.
The
I-
Pella to match what we're putting in the half
Yes,
rounds?
we have considered that, but the cost is considerably greater. And given what the homeowner has already gone through, we're attempting to find places where we can do things right, but also not make it to where they've got to sell the house immediately in order to try and recoup.
Are you saying that if these were replaced with wood, they would rather sell the house?
No, they'd rather not have to sell the house.
Sorry,
Yes.
you made it sound like they would
No.
prefer to sell the house than put up with more rehab.
Just for reference, when you say substantially different, just out of curiosity, what is the cost per window?
A percentage would do there, excuse me, Mike. Yeah, but give us a percentage, Mike.
So the Window World vinyl windows are, let's see. Yeah, I'm trying to remember how much they were individually. Yeah, so the Pella windows would be roughly 300% more than what we're looking at with the vinyl windows.
We're talking about the 2 windows in the front right now.
We are talking about the 2 windows in the front on the dormers, but
then-
also the 2 on the east and west gable.
Gables, right?
Yes.
What are the lower windows on the first and second floor? And
Those
that may
are-
have been discussed in the past, but I wasn't here.
Those are all wood, inside and out, single pane.
Original.
Those are the originals, yes.
Yes. It's really significant that those are still there. I mean, the homeowner's fortunate to have a house that has all that still there because they are really defining, it's really lovely, and that goes all the way up. and all the way on the sides. I was impressed. I dropped by to look at it the other day. It's really nice. That beveled glass in the front on the doors and the side lights and the transom, I mean, all of that's beautiful. So that just all complements one another.
Mike, those that are there now just can't be salvaged, the windows that are there now. Is there a way to, those rectangular ones, the lower ones, you know, mentioned in item 4, they just can't be?
Not in a practical fashion. Yes, anything can be done, and we can do just about anything. But there's, the cost is a big concern, and even restoring, rehabilitating the existing lower rectangular windows would just about approach per unit what we would pay if we were to go with the Pella wooden windows.
So it's a two-part sash. So the top part has the individual small lights, and then it's just one pane on the lower. And it looked like one window on the dormer on the left still had the frame for the lower sash, but just there's plywood in it at present. Is it missing altogether on the right-hand side?
No, we have all the sashes.
You have
We
all the
just-
sash?
We had to take those out in order to feed some material up.
Perfect, okay, all right.
Yes.
It was hard to tell from just looking on the ground out there
Sure.
to see to know. Those are such significant elements. To me, it should be match the original. It should be divided light. And I would certainly say before we would approve any alternative to that, it should be fully explored to say, can you restore those? Having restored similar windows, not maybe quite that many lights, but 6/6 from the 1830s is possible. And it looks beautiful because you have the individual panes, and that's part of the whole facade. And I think once you start down the slope of change, it's hard to stop.
So there is one other factor to consider, and that is safety. So 3 of those windows are approachable from a floor level,
Okay?
and they are only maybe 6 inches. The top of the stool of the window
Okay.
is about 6 to 8 inches above the floor, and none of those are currently tempered.
Have they considered like an interior storm that could be tempered glass to address this safety issue?
We have not
Okay.
considered that yet, no.
Okay. Because that would be definitely a concern. You wouldn't want someone to, I assume previously the attic was not an occupied space.
That is correct.
Okay.
Have the type windows that they're proposing been approved in the past, particularly on the front of a house?
Speaking to the,
Oh, sorry. Have the type windows that they're proposing ever been approved by this committee, especially for the front of a house?
I don't remember. Gib, you want to weigh in on that? He's,
I can't say for sure, but I'm not sure that's a relevant question. You know, I think because we may have made mistakes in the past doesn't mean we should make them in the future.
Absolutely. And then they become a precedent that then gets repeated. over.
Right, that's
Right.
what I was concerned about, setting the
Yeah.
precedent and then.
Personally, I would like to see, do more research on restoring the windows that are there because they're significant aesthetically to the composition of the front of the house. And come back to the group to say, this is what we found, this is what we concluded, these are our options. I wouldn't feel comfortable.
well, we have a applicant who's made a application. We need to address
I
his.
totally understand.
And so if discussion is over, then we move for a motion, right, John?
Yes, sir, and that motion could be to either deny or defer or to approve.
Okay.
Are you making a motion?
No, you can go ahead if you want to
No,
make one.
you go ahead.
I totally respect the time it takes to do this and the commitment of doing the entire property and the cost associated with it. In this case, because I feel they're very significant to the appearance of the house, I would move to defer the decision on replacement of the sash on the dormers and on the side until other options have been exhausted to determine if we can restore as opposed to replace, even with like material. So that's my motion.
Motion to defer. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Ashley, call the roll, please.
Mr. Backlund,
Aye.
Ms. Bolden,
Aye.
Ms. Brown,
Aye.
Mr. Busey,
Aye.
Ms. Graham,
Aye.
Mr. Panesi,
Aye.
Chair Davis.
Aye. I'm sorry we've deferred this one, Mike.
So it's, the only thing I can say about that is it's just going to cost the homeowner more in searching for ways to properly restore these windows, in finding the glass, in finding the muntins, and we have the skill to do it. It's just finding the
I'm confident you do,
material.
yeah. And if we can be of help, if we can be of help, that would be glad to try to help. I mean, you can get glass, you can get things produced.
And
Buttons can be
let
produced.
me ask this too, if we're deferring now and we come up with some options, is that going to be a full committee meeting, or is that going to be an administrative?
That was where I
approval?
was going next. How can we temper this?
It seems
Give
to
me
me.
some ideas, John.
Sure. It seems to me, and I would defer to Amelia and our planning director who's here, but it would seem to me that if they were able to come up with options to restore those windows and not have to replace them, that seems like something that could be administratively approved and not require you to come back before the full commission. If you only are able to find options that would require replacement, it might depend on what materials you're replacing with as to whether that could be administratively approved or not.
Agree.
Mike, is there a reserve, Appella reserve that works here, but?
And I have a quote for that as well, yes.
So what about that one, John? Since we have approved that window on the half barrel,
I'll defer to Amelia, but it looks like.
We have approved the Pella.
so can we get administrative approval on that window?
I would prefer at this time, this is a whole new board than what we've had before, and I would prefer for it to come back before you with anything other than they're going to restore the windows.
Okay, so I guess we are then in deferral.
And I would think maybe we could, maybe set a time frame as to when this might come back before the board. Do you have any idea when y'all could get some semblance of information together for them?
I could have something ready by next month. Are y'all meeting next month?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah.
But again, Mike, if there's a way to restore, then I don't think you have to come back. I know that sounds, making that sound a lot easier than I know it is, and I'm sorry.
It's all right.
But if there's a way to restore the existing, then that can be approved administratively, right?
Correct.
Or does he even have to come if he restores?
If he restores, he would not have to come back.
That's our,
So if that's the case, then I would just send an email to Amelia describing how we're going to restore them.
That's
if you want.
If that's the case.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I get clarification? This is for both the dormer windows and the side windows?
yes.
The gables, yeah. So we're talking four.
We are,
Yeah.
yes.
Four windows.
4 windows, yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mike. Good to see you
All right.
again.
It's a beautiful house.
Okay, so, I'm going to now move on to a other business item. I thought since we have such a, well, I was going to say young commission, but a new commission,
That's right,
Maybe that's
Jeff.
better.
that we should, everybody review, oh, I'm sorry, Amelia.
We need to vote on the calendar for 2026.
Okay. Sorry, I missed that. You're exactly right. Everybody see that in front of them?
Yeah.
This is based on having the submittal deadline on the first Tuesday of the month. We do ask that the applicants meet with us at least 10 days in advance of that deadline to make sure they're on track with what they're doing and make sure that they have all the materials for you all to look at. And then the second side is the actual meeting date, which is always the third Tuesday of the month. There is one change on a submittal, and that is for July 4th time period. We actually submit those earlier, or I'm sorry, later than original. It would be like July.
And
3rd.
June 16th will be an election meeting if we have an agenda, right?
Correct. And if we do not have a meeting that month, we would have it the following month.
Just out of curiosity, I don't remember. What's the term of a commissioner?
The
5
first
years.
5 years, okay. So
5 years.
First term's 3, right, me, and then 5 after?
No, they're all 5.
I'm okay.
They're all 5, and the term of course, the president and the vice, or the chair and the vice chair, that is every year. And then they could serve 2 consecutive. Then they can roll to be like the vice chair and then roll back into it again, but.
Okay, how's that look, calendar?
Good.
How about a motion then, if somebody will entertain make a motion?
I move to approve.
Second?
Ashley, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Backlund,
Aye.
Ms. Bolden,
Aye.
Ms. Brown,
Aye.
Mr. Busey,
Aye.
Ms. Graham,
Aye.
Mr. Panesi,
Aye.
Chair Davis.
Aye. Okay, other business, I asked Amelia, or Amelia and John and I discussed this just as a review, our guidelines for alterations and additions, demolitions, removals, and open it up for a discussion. You newer commissioners, I hope you had a chance to do that. And John, Mr. Tully, sorry, don't be to be so informal.
Not at all.
Is here for a Q&A. So anybody want to get started?
Chair, if I may just say one thing very briefly.
Sure.
This is not related to the guidelines, it's more of a Robert's Rules thing, but it occurred to me at the meeting that I neglected to bring this up in my presentation, especially to the new commissioners. I just want to make clear that, and y'all may already know this, so I apologize if you do, but from a rules of order perspective, it should be noted that when you make a motion and a second, that's not necessarily that you're in favor of that motion or not. It's just that you believe it should be brought to a vote. And so it's certainly acceptable to say you move to approve something if you want to stop the discussion, but then vote against it. And that may already be obvious, but it occurred to me I didn't mention that before, so just
Well,
to be
thank
clear.
you, John. Yeah, we've, I guess, kind of loosely followed.
And one other thing, I think, following the second is when the discussion occurs.
Right.
Generally, under Robert's rules, yes. However, I don't know of any board
Well, I was going to say,
in
we
the
would
city of
be the
Murfreesboro
only
that
one.
actually follows that policy.
Unless someone knows Robert's
Yes.
Rules of Order, which I do.
Yes, well, and many people do, although I should note that while Robert's rules are definitely very useful,
Yeah.
in boards of this size, they're not, some find them to be overly formal. And so bending the rules is certainly allowable. But yes, you're absolutely correct. Under Robert's rules,
Right.
technically, the motion comes first and then there's the discussion after.
Of course, we had a lot of discussion prior, but
Right.
even so, I think there were a couple of instances today when, after the second, there might have been some useful discussion.
Yes, and that certainly can be entertained, for sure.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So right now, we're reviewing and preparing for discussion of HZC guidelines. We are not considering changing them at this meeting, is that correct? Or what? How are you envisioning this?
No, this is just educational.
Yeah, okay.
This is for review.
Okay.
I think we could make a recommendation for changes at some point in time in the future. It goes to council.
Right.
So this is just mainly educational.
So, one
Clarification.
I do have a question, I guess. Since we have a we have a historic district, and the city of Murfreesboro is considered to be a certified local government under the guidelines, and so we are certified by the State Historic Preservation Office, correct?
Yes, sir.
And so anything that we do to change guidelines would need to go back to the state for approval, correct?
I don't think so.
I'm not sure that it would.
Okay.
I'm not sure we have to send things to
We
the
have to
state
do that,
necessarily. But we certainly, again, because we are a certified local government, we want to make sure any changes we make are in harmony with the
Sure.
Secretary of
Yeah, I mean,
Interior's
out of-
guidelines.
Well, who certifies us?
The council.
The city council certifies that we have complied with the guidelines in order to be a certified.
You come up with what you, if there are any changes you would like to do to the guidelines.
Okay.
You would
Well-
formulate what you would want.
Yeah.
And
It also requires a certain amount of continuing education, I believe.
yes,
Annually.
so the requirements to maintain certified local government status are that we have enacted a historic zoning ordinance and design guidelines, and that we enforce them, which we do. But it doesn't require us to send our guidelines to the state for approval.
Okay.
We just have to have enacted them. And then, yes, there is continuing education requirements. There's administrative stuff that Amelia has to do, maintaining a system to survey the properties, submitting an annual report, things along those lines. But
And does it say that our guidelines should conform to the National Register Bulletin on?
I actually don't know whether it does specify that. I mean, that'd certainly be the best practice,
Right.
but I don't believe that there's a hard requirement necessarily.
Okay.
But I can certainly research that. If we do want to entertain changes that might deviate, I can research that.
Because, well, looking back on it, and then, I mean, it's been some years since we changed them. I mean, quite a few years, actually.
I think 2014.
Yeah, so 11 years. And I think in some cases, we use language like should or could or would.
Yeah,
or
it was
like
very
little
basic stuff.
Squishy words that might not mean anything. And
It was
so
basic.
I think that's something that's worth considering.
To address that, Gib, if I am chair and there are changes proposed, I would almost insist that we send them to the state.
For review.
Exactly.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, and so my quick yes was based more on,
Yeah.
No.
Well, they have much more specific knowledge
Right.
of the guidelines than most of us. So,
I
Okay.
should also note that I believe, and again, I would need to research this to make sure, but I believe that if we do want to make changes to the guidelines, particularly if it's anything of substance, I believe the procedure to do that would involve having members of the community appointed to a committee that could also have members of this commission on it as well. But we would want community input and have them make recommendations of changes. But we could certainly discuss here today changes we believe might be necessary that committee could then further research.
okay, who's got anything they want to bring up?
I found a few places that I felt like were a little bit ambiguously stated and could use some clarification.
That's why he's here.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So without hopefully taking too much time, one example, and this occurs in two different places, the wording is proposals for exterior work to be done on facades visible from the public right-of-way shall be more carefully reviewed than are other facades. So that seems to me to imply that we are going to review facades that are not visible from the public right-of-way, which I didn't think was
Where are you,
something we're going to
Stacy?
do. The first example is on page 5, under general principles, the second point. And then the second one, which is basically the same thing, is under, I think, additions or new construction general principles. It just has the same wording, because my understanding was we are only dealing with things that are facades visible from public rights of way. But this implies that we are also reviewing things that are not visible from public rights of way? Or is that just,
It
I
certainly
like
does imply that.
precise language,
No,
so-
you're absolutely right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ben, you want to weigh in on this?
Chair, I'm going to weigh in kind of off topic, but what I want to do is try to take these ideas and bring them to a more informal setting. And so what I would suggest that we do is, if we can get everyone's calendars together, coordinate that with either Amelia or Ashley, and then let's sit down. We can go to the airport in a less formal setting and really kind of kick some of these ideas around. And I think that when we're in that more informal setting, I think it's a lot better for discussion, open discussion, and John can look up some of the questions that you've brought up now as far as what needs to happen on expansion and how we do that, how we fit within the state, so that we can bring those answers to you and we're not speculating here kind of in the moment.
Okay, well, so John can take note of these questions, and
Yes.
we can get together later at a workshop.
And what we can do is, if we want to do it at a lunchtime, we can provide lunch for everybody. And then that just, it helps us get to know each other a little bit better and then have that really good open discussion.
Okay, good point.
That'd be
Stacy.
great for us new because we don't have the history to know what have been problems in the past, if any, with the guidelines as written and their purpose. I thought generally they were well done from the standpoint, if they're intended for citizens or a homeowner, you try to reduce it to an understandable, what is our purpose and what are the key things we're looking at and what's the process? And then it's backed up with the Secretary of Interior standards to get into the granular side of, well, what are we reviewing? But I think having a good discussion like that sounds great.
And I think
that would be helpful.
Good, that's great. Good feedback to hear. And I think what we can also do there is maybe, have John or Amelia, go over what some of those guidelines are, what they mean, how we've interpreted some of those, so that you kind of have an idea of where, a snapshot of where we stand with those, because they may say one thing and then staff has interpreted those to mean, something that gives us a little bit more black and white on that. So I think that can be helpful as well. Thank you.
Okay. John, you might put this one on your notes. On the demolition guidelines, I'm just not really sure what constitutes economic hardship. Is it a micro or is it a macro? Is it, is it because the homeowner's under, is out the value of what he wants to do?
Right.
Can be achieved easier by demolition than?
So, yeah, if it's easier, that definitely would not suffice.
Well,
Right,
more,
but,
at least the value, less
Right.
expensive, significantly less expensive.
And you're right, that term is certainly vague. Well, open to interpretation, I should say. And we could add some definition to it. I would interpret that to mean essentially if demolition was not allowed, that the cost to continue to maintain the property would exceed the cost of demolition or something along those lines, where it would be wildly out of sync. But not just, if it was to save money, that would not be sufficient. And the guidelines are explicit there that simply the fact that the building is old or unusual means it could not be replaced without great difficulty and expense is not a sufficient reason. So economic hardship is something significantly greater than that. But yeah, that definitely is an area where we could add some clarity to the rule if you desired.
And there is in rules of procedure, I think, where it lists like 7 different criteria to consider for economic hardship, but yes, it's still, every circumstance would be different. Yep.
Right. Well, and that brings up another point that, you know, the rules of procedure do kind of bleed over into the guidelines.
They do.
You shouldn't necessarily, but the best practice, it seems to me, would be the rules of procedure should be limited to the rules of procedure, procedural issues of how the meetings are run and how applications are made. Anything that's design guidelines should be in this document, and we shouldn't expect people to have to go to the rules of procedure to find extra guidelines. So if we are looking at making changes, that will be one that might be worth considering, is moving everything from the rules of procedure that's not limited to procedure into the design guidelines document. So that is the one place people have to go to look.
Well, in the rules of procedure, I guess we could address Robert's rules of order a little bit more.
If you wanted to more closely follow Robert's rules, that you absolutely could, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so, Ben, can you come back up? Mr. Newman, I'm sorry. A little too informal here.
Call me mister.
What are we allowed to discuss at this workshop, this upcoming workshop? What's open for discussion? Both documents, rules and procedures, guidelines? Is an ad hoc committee appropriate to recommend?
I think, so I think at a meeting like that, it's probably safe to notice the public, you know, give a public notice to a meeting like that, so that if there are, you know, discussions or deliberations that make, you know, be seen as coming to a consensus, then, you know, it's open, it's been noticed to the public, so then you don't have to worry about any of those types of violations.
So we could also there address in the rules of procedures the guidelines for any future expansion of the district. Too.
Yeah, I think, you know, those things could be on the table. I think that, you know, wording, whatever the notice would be, you know, something that we would need to consider, you know, if it's a discussion of expansion. Matthew, a lot of times produces our agenda, so I'll let him speak to the specifics on that.
And good afternoon, Commission. John can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe for a workshop, the specific topics that are going to be discussed have to be included in the notice of the public meeting, and the and the discussion has to stick to that those particular topics in general. Is that correct, Mr. Tully?
Yes, it is. Although the way that the topics are worded doesn't necessarily have to be extremely detailed. You know, but yes, you would need to give adequate notice. People would know at least generally what's being discussed. So something along the lines of, you know, discussion regarding the size and guidelines regarding the historic district might be sufficient, but you and I could certainly figure out the exact.
We would cite individual sections of the two documents, or just the documents as a whole?
Yeah, it could just be, you know, discussing rules of procedure and design guidelines. That would be a sufficient public notice, I believe. I don't think you need to discuss this.
Right. I think the point is you couldn't veer off into deliberating certain properties or
yes.
Of the procedure for X, Y, or Z.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
How does the commission feel about that? I know we've all got busy schedules, and adding another meeting.
I think it's a good idea, and it
Agreed.
particularly with so many new people on the commission.
I think it would be helpful.
And young people, you have so many young
non-white-haired people. Yeah.
I don't know.
Do we need any kind of motion or anything for that?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay, so Amelia, will work to your schedule. What?
The public notice needs to occur some weeks in advance, I would assume.
In days.
Yeah.
We don't know, you got anybody working on anything for December?
Possibly, if he comes back, and I do have somebody who is talking with me about some changes to Central Magnet School. Somebody else putting in an air conditioner, but I'm thinking it's not gonna be visible from a right of way, so that'll be administrative. But, I mean, I guess we would have to check to see the availability.
Okay. If you would you mind putting some dates to, some options together for us? Thank you.
I guess before we conclude, are there any other specific areas that y'all would like me to research before the workshop meeting? If there are any other particular items, I'd be happy to take note of that and hopefully have a more complete answer for you at that workshop.
One thing we talked about in our training session had to do with maintenance and repair. And I think the way it's addressed is in the H1 overlay, where there's a statement about an obligation of owners to repair and maintain their property such that it doesn't decline, et cetera. And I presume that's enforced through the 2018 International Property Management Code or something. You go through to have something noted and corrected.
I believe so. Yeah, that'll probably be building codes would probably be the
Yeah.
ones that enforce that.
That was just a question we had last time, so that, I don't know whether that's something that needs to
That's a
be
good point.
included within the guidelines to say that if you're a homeowner, you have an obligation not to wait till it's deteriorated to the point that we have to get you into economic hardship, but that you maintain it on a regular and periodic basis, and that we have provided you the resources through the library, which is free resources, or through the Secretary of Interior standards, et cetera, to help you get there. And if you have a question, hopefully we're a group that can come to say, what do I do? How do I do better? A lot of times it's benign neglect. It's not because they intend to do that. It just ends up there.
Very good point. I get a lot of calls, well, not a lot. I've had some calls recently about codes violations. And of course, we have no authority to do anything, and all I can do is call somebody else.
Right.
But just because a home in the historic district is under a violation for a code.
I wonder if it might be possible at this meeting to talk about the possibility of updating the National Register nomination, which is it's a fairly big project. So many new buildings have been constructed within the district and other buildings removed that at the time it was done, it would have identified structures that were contributing to the historic characteristics of the neighborhood, and also buildings that were not contributing. And I think those things have changed. Some of those buildings that once were identified as contributing are no longer contributing. And since it was so long ago, many more buildings have come into the category of being eligible because they're now 50 years old, whereas they were not before. So I think that's a project that's worth doing if we choose to address that.
Anything else? Well, it was a first step, and so we'll wait to hear from Amelia with some options. And so with that,
There's one more item on the agenda.
what is it? Yeah, did I miss another? Oh, yes, the administrative.
That's just administrative approval that I let you all know about.
What action do we need to take on that, Amelia?
None. It's just making you aware that they did come to me to do it. If you see them working on it, then they have had approval to do that.
Okay, thank you.
And those, anytime between meetings, if there's one, it'll be listed at the end of the agenda on what was done.
Okay. So now, a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Ashley, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Backlund?
Aye.
Ms. Bolden?
Aye.
Ms. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Busey?
Aye.
Ms. Graham?
Aye.
Mr. Panesi?
Aye.
Chair Davis?
Aye. We are adjourned.